CTE and Career Education 101 for Beginners. This is WISE Data Conference 2024, and this is Jessie Sloan, the CTE Data Consultant for DPI. The agenda for this session is what is CTE, creating a career education data team, timeline, career education data reporting, organizing data, WISE data, and WISE Dash, and help. What is CTE? Career and Technical Education, abbreviated as CTE, in Wisconsin develops students who are prepared for post-secondary education and career success. A high-quality CTE program enhances family, business, and community engagement. Listed here are the 6 CTE academic areas. Each have specific licensing requirements. CTE also has subject area standards. Academic standards define what students should know and be able to do in an area of study. We also identify courses in the correct content area by the standards, and we ensure that we have properly licensed teachers adhering to those standards. All right, organization is key when you are creating a career education data team. It's also very important to have teamwork. It is very difficult for one person to be responsible for all the components that go into career education and CTE data reporting. And that's because we are reporting what is going on in the classroom. So to have a team is going to be important. Having a team is also going to help your data entry. And it's going to help your data entry people understand what's going on in CTE and career education in your school. And then everybody can work together to understand the state and federal reports and then be able to interpret them. So some examples of the reports that we use CTE and career education data for are report cards, Perkins 5 accountability reports, and school improvement. So create a system within the school to record and archive what is happening in the classroom, and thus you will be able to give that information to your data entry personnel to properly enter into the SIS. Help data entry locate DPI WISE data element definitions and stay up to date. Also this will help school teams record career pathways and all the specific data elements. I would encourage you to write everything down on paper, and we have resources available on the CTE data resources to help you do that. But writing it down on paper, your career pathways and sequence of courses, and then handing that to your data entry person will allow that data entry person to set up the student information system properly. So creating a team. Data teams already exist in your district. For example, we probably already have established data teams that review ACT and other state tests, groups that review graduation, and other groups that review special education. So here's an example of multiple data teams that work with the WISE system, and I have them listed up here at the top. So focus on the yellow boxes. And we're focusing on the yellow boxes for CTE and career education because we want to collect all that data that is either on report cards or in Perkins, but are helping our students move on to the next level and be ready for their careers. On the left here are some of the roles that are involved on a data team. And you can name the individuals who are going to fulfill those roles and do those tasks. So for example, on your data team, you're going to have somebody that is able to enter data into your student information system. You should have somebody that has the time and the capacity to read DPI web pages and understand the curriculum and stay up to date with what's going on, whether it's in our classroom or, for instance, labor market information. Also, you're going to need somebody on your team that knows how to use the student information system and also can teach others. And then who can ask the SIS for help? Usually through these contracts that schools have with SIS vendors, they have designated people within the district that are able to put in help tickets to the SIS vendor. And when you get stuck or not sure how to do something, somebody on your team is going to need to be able to contact your SIS to get help or to be able to locate the help documents that all SIS vendors have for CTE and career education reporting. And then at the bottom here, it says review of data in WISE data portal and WISE Dash for district. So somebody or multiple people on your team should have access to WISE data portal or WISE Dash for district so that we are reading both of those applications and double checking and ensuring that all the data that is sent to DPI is presented the way that you want it to be. Timeline. Creating timelines is very important for career education data. Data is submitted almost daily from your district student information system and shows up in WISE Data Portal after validations. So typically that's the next day. State and federal reports that use this data should not be a surprise to districts because all of your data is viewable within 24 hours in WISE Data Portal. And then another 24 hours later, it is built into the WISE Dash for district. So within 48 hours of a school district sending data to DPI, your school can review it and ensure that it was sent correctly. Creating timelines to check and collect data will be important for accuracy. So here are some suggested months to review the health of your data in the present school year, because it's very hard to remember data after a school year has passed. So during the school year, you might want to make time to review your data in November, January, March, and June after the school year. Career education data is expected to be accurate in time for the December snapshot. The December snapshot for career education and CTE data is about 6 months after the school year ends. Checking your data during the school year will ensure that you have the data correct in real time, and then you will not have to remember to do it 6 months later. You will use WISE Data Portal and WISE Dash for District to review your career education and CTE data. Any report that DPI uses your data comes from WISE Dash for District. It is the data that was entered into your SIS, then sent through the whole WISE system, and then it displays, and that's where we take a picture of it, and DPI uses that snapshot data to fulfill our state and federal reporting. There is no paper or Excel spreadsheet collection of career education and CTE data. Most career education and CTE data comes from the course master in your student information system. There is another training called Roster Work Plan that will help you organize and collect individual career education and CTE data elements. We are collecting data that is influenced by classroom instruction, which you are teaching to your students. The career education and CTE data teams will need to provide information to the data entry personnel so that it can be properly entered into the student information in real time. Information to collect and organize is listed here. Updates to courses, roster codes, career pathways, work-based learning, industry recognized credentials, and dual enrollment. It is always important to remember dates of previous snapshots. This helps us remember what happened when we feel data is inaccurate in WiseDash. A common issue is that districts forget which day the snapshot took place for a given reporting year, and then they change their data after the snapshot or the day of the snapshot. The school looks at their data in the student information system a year later, and then they believe that they reported it correctly and on time. However, the school fails to look at the date that the data was sent in WISE Dash to understand that they did not get the data to WISE in time for the snapshot. You need to see your data in WISE Dash for district before the snapshot to remind yourself that it got there in time. So here's some tips. Enter your data in real time during the actual school year that it happens. Complete your CTE and career education data before June 30th. Humans forget over the summer, educators change jobs, new staff may not understand what happened in the year prior, and it's really hard to work on the previous school year data when you're trying to start a new school year. Here's an example schedule of when to update data for career education. So right now it's spring, and right now is the time that most schools are creating future scheduling and making sure their courses are set up for next year. So CTE courses are created with CTE roster codes and WISE data elements identified from the roster work plan. So you can begin to make sure that your future courses are set up correctly now and through the summer. Perkins career pathways are created with instructional area codes and contain a sequence of CTE courses. You should write this down on paper so when you are ready to enter your concentrators in June, you know what CTE courses to review to see that students took 2 or more of those courses in a career pathway. When the school year begins, you have students enrolling, and we are naturally collecting their demographic information from their registration forms. Also, at the beginning of the school year, you already have students that are scheduled into courses. Then in December, it's the snapshot for the prior school year. So we need to remind ourselves of that the snapshot in December is 6 months past the end of the school year. We should try to get all of our data done in June so that we don't have to overlap school years. All right, then the rest of the school year, your data is going to flow to WISE every night that you send it. Your data team is going to review WISE data portal student details and exports. And you're also going to be reviewing your data in WISE Dash for District during certain months, and make time for that during these 4 months so that you make sure that your data looks correct and you don't have to do it 6 months after the school year. At the end of the school year, it's very important that you remember to add the certificated program status to all industry recognized credentials. Youth apprenticeship is a work-based learning opportunity that requires a certificated program status, and so do both of the state co-ops. These 3 bubbles depict data elements that are reported to DPI, specifically for CTE and with Carl Perkins and report cards. So career education data consists of college and career readiness data and CTE data. CTE data is often referencing Carl Perkins. All public school districts are required to submit the data for grades 9 through 12 to satisfy college career readiness requirements. Additional data are required for districts that receive Carl Perkins funding. So in these 3 bubbles, I have outlined what we collect for Carl Perkins, what we collect on report cards, and then this is where Carl Perkins and report cards, they overlap. We look at work-based learning and industry recognized credentials for both. The data team should create a method to organize and update this information in the student information system. Each student information system has a guide for CTE career education data to assist data entry people. There is also a recording in Wise Data Portal under Resources, and it is a recording of myself and each of the SIS vendors showing you exactly how to use their software and enter all of these data elements. Some tips to organizing your data. It is up to each school to create a method to enter data into the student information system. Creating and documenting a data collection method will help everyone involved with the data. It will also help any new staff. Create and record a method to organize CTE and career ed data. You can utilize your course handbook, for example. What you want to do is you want to identify which courses are CTE, and you may already be doing that because you might be listing your courses by department and you have 1 to 6 CTE departments. Other career education data that you would want to identify, or at least courses, would be advanced placement and international baccalaureate. CTE, advanced placement, and international baccalaureate all have very specific roster codes that need to be used so that data reports the DPI correctly. Dual enrollment is different. For a course to be identified as dual enrollment, there is a box that you need to check within the course setup. You can use any roster code that you want for dual enrollment. There is no special roster code. All dual enrollment is reported through the course setup and checking the box for dual enrollment and then identifying the partnering college. Work-based learning. You have the option of identifying students experiencing work-based learning. Either put them in a course and set the course up to report as work-based learning, or you can do it individually per student. But I highly encourage setting up a course for your work-based learning programs so that you can schedule students into that, and then we know exactly what students we are responsible for if they need certificated program status, but also then we know that those students have a teacher or somebody in the school district who is mentoring them through the work-based learning experience. And that will help you meet one of the 6 Perkins requirements for work-based learning. Industry recognized credentials. Typically, industry recognized credentials are an assignment within a course. So you will need to identify all the courses in your school district that have the opportunity or the assignment for students to receive an industry recognized credential. Then you have the choice of setting up the course to report industry recognized credentials for all students scheduled into it, or you can go and add the industry recognized credential to each student individually. For any industry recognized credential, you will always have to enter the certificated program status for every student working towards an industry recognized credential at the end of grading. So it's very important, number 3, that you are collecting lists of students from the teachers and how the students completed work-based learning and industry recognized credentials at the end of the semester or the end of the grading period. So this is an example of a course handbook, and this example is meant to help you use the course handbook as an organization piece so that you can remember all the different data elements on all of your courses. So this is an example of a CTE course called Small Engines, probably being taught in the tech ed department. And here I listed grades available 10 through 12. That is up to you. It's 1 high school credit. This example course happens to be dual enrollment with a Wisconsin Technical College. And that's good to report and show your students what college that they would potentially getting dual credit from. This is not an AP course. This course does have an industry recognized credential, and the example here I made up, I listed it. And I would name the certification organization as well, but that's up to you. We don't report that and through WISE. This is not work-based learning, and this course is part of a career pathway for transportation, distribution, and logistics, and that is the IAC code that the course is part of. And then all the other courses that relate to the transportation career pathway would also use the 14.01 IAC code. And then I have a short description of the course. So that's one example of how to organize yourself. This next slide is kind of like an index, and it has 4 tech ed courses, and you can see the grade levels. You can also see the roster codes. And you can see that Small Engines is a dual enrollment course and has an IRC. And then you can see in this example woodworking course that that course also is work-based learning. So you have that 2 courses for a career pathway, and you can have 5 courses in a career pathway, and they would all use the same IAC code. It's up to you. It's a minimum of 2. And then I actually list the cluster pathway right here. And this helps you stay organized and see the big picture as you are entering it into the student information system. This slide is meant to show you that career education data can be entered into the student information system in 2 ways. Always start with your SIS guidance documentation because your SIS may have some tips to use so that it makes sense for your software. Each SIS vendor provides training about how to enter career education and CTE data. These guidance document links are often provided to limited people in the district, and then those people can share that information with others in the district. So when you go back and think about who's on your data team, make sure somebody on your data team is or has the ability to access the help documents in your SIS vendor or put in a help ticket to your SIS vendor. What you want to do is create a workflow document that describes how career education and CTE data will be collected from the classroom. There are 2 options. You may use either one, but you will need to remember how it was done from year to year to help you move forward each year and also to correct any errors. And what I mean by that is we collect data at DPI either at the course level, which means a course is set up to apply the data elements to all the students that are scheduled into the course, or we add the data element individually to each student level record. Using the course to automatically add data elements is done through the course section master. The person that creates courses and sections in the student information system needs to be informed of specific data points that are indicated on the course setup. And then when you schedule students into those courses, they will be applied to each student in the course. Scheduling students into these courses is key for the data to attach to the student record. For career education and CTE data, the data entry folks need to know details about dual enrollment, advanced placement, international baccalaureate, industry recognized credentials, and work-based learning. We can then follow the box down. So going down, we can then follow the box down to the next step of scheduling. Once the student is scheduled and has earned a grade in the course, data entry people will complete a final step for those students that are in a certified course, meaning certified means that they have a course that has an IRC or that they are in a work-based learning that is certified, and those are youth apprenticeship and the 2 state co-ops. So data entry personnel will add the certificated program status to the certified types to show that how the student finished those programs. So certified always means you need an extra step. The other method of recording data is to do all of it or a portion of it by each individual student. You will hear the phrase Student Program Association being used when the only method is to enter the data element manually per each student. Enter each data element individually through a student program association entails collecting lists of students and their progress from teachers. Either method is acceptable and is based on the capacity of the person entering the data. The key to both is creating deadlines to gain the information from teachers before summer break or while updating the course master. Also, write down which method was used because you may only be doing this once or twice a year and we forget. And then just remember, each SIS vendor has guidance on all of this. Here are common CTE WISE data elements. There are more, but these are the ones to learn if you are new to CTE and career education reporting. WISE data elements is a dictionary of all the data elements and their definitions at DPI, and the link is right here. I indicated CTE, Career Ed, or Perkins after each data element to help you understand what it is used for within reporting. Career education refers to report cards. Perkins is for Perkins accountability reports. Roster codes, codes that describe the course, are CTE. Instructional area codes are a numerical description of an occupation, sometimes referred to as a SIP code, and they're associated with a student's CTE program, which means they are the codes that are used to identify CTE concentrators for Carl Perkins. Certificated program status type indicates a student's progress towards earning an IRC and youth apprenticeship and the two types of state co-ops and work-based learning. Program area type is another way of saying CTE departments, and we use this in Perkins. Participants are CTE students that were enrolled and passed one or more CTE courses within the reporting year. Concentrators are CTE students again, so they're 11th and 12th graders that have completed and passed 2 or more CTE courses in a career pathway, and they can take those 2 CTE courses in the pathway anytime during high school, and that is a key component of Carl Perkins. Someone on your team will have access to WISE Data Portal. And this is a picture of it. This is often a data entry person. WISE Data Portal access allows you to see aggregate data per student that is sent to DPI. There will be errors and warnings as student data is validated through DPI business rules, and that is okay. You are able to read the knowledge-based articles about the errors and warnings, and we encourage you to do that to help you learn how to enter it correctly and then also rationalize what the directions are for reporting. There are also 4 exports to review for career education data, and I have them snippeted here. So this is what I like to look at when I'm helping schools with their CTE and career education data, these exports. So you can see that their career education, certified, non-certified, that export is going to list all the students that you have been reporting as earning an industry recognized credential or work-based learning. And you would click the download button and it would give you an Excel spreadsheet of what your current data looks like. The CTE concentrator export is going to give you a list of the students that you have indicated as a concentrator for the reporting year. It will also show you their IAC codes, which stand for their career pathways. And then participants, CTE participants, this will generate an export with all the students from 9th to 12th grade that have been scheduled, enrolled, and passed one CTE course or more for the reporting year. And then the other last export that I really like to look at is roster course offerings. And this will be an export that lists all the courses that you offer, either in your school or district, depending how you filter it. And it will inform you what their roster code is, if you are reporting it as dual enrollment, if you are reporting it as advanced placement, international baccalaureate, or any of the arts. So that's a good export to look at so you can see the big picture of all of your courses. And this slide is to provide you with help topics. The CTE Data Resources webpage is updated regularly to provide short training videos and slide decks by topic for this work. So that is the webpage that I maintain to assist with all this work. And on that webpage, there is a link called CTE and Career Education Data Wise Guide. And this should be the first thing that you read to give you directions and a rationale for all of the CTE and career education reporting. I also offer training the third Thursday of the month from 3 to 3:45 during the school year. It's quick training. This year we are focusing on learning how to use Wise Dash for District. Anybody can register for the session and you can learn 1 or 2 skills on how to use one of the dashboards each month. Wise Data Portal has resources, and in that resources, again, there is recorded training of myself and your SIS vendor showing how to input all of this data. So you can go ahead and use that and watch those recordings. I do CTE data office hours the first Thursday of the month from 2 to 3:45 during the school year. And you can access that Teams link by clicking here, and anybody can jump on the call and ask me questions. I do not prepare anything for office hours. I just answer questions and help schools. Also on Tuesdays at 1:30, DPI Customer Service does a whole WISE user group web call, and you can ask our customer service team any question you want about WISE, and they will help you, and you will sometimes see me on those calls as well. And then number 6, CTE data team. I'm going to again encourage you to create a team so that you can help each other within the district, that you can understand all the different requirements in Perkins, but also helping each other out with the data that goes into report cards. And then here is the link to DPI customer service for help tickets. And then you are also welcome to reach out to me directly, and I can also help you. And thank you, everyone.